21 Rockstar families, and welcome to this week's VODCAST. I hope you're staying warm on this very cold Sunday. Who knows, maybe we'll have a 2-hour delay or a cancellation tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned for that. A couple of quick announcements before I send you off to the strategy session today would include, first of all, our Rockstar of the Week for last week was Abraham. He has been making incredible gains with his academic progress, unlike any other, and I'm so proud of him for that, as well as his greetings in the morning have been amazing, so that is why he was named Rockstar of the Week for this past week. A couple of other announcements I want to throw out there. Number one, DARE graduation is next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. in the activity room. Everyone's invited to come, and I also just wanted to congratulate Kyle Hinken once again for being chosen by Deputy Scoggins to read his DARE essay at DARE graduation. She had such a hard time deciding upon one student from our classroom because the presentations were so great. So she had to think about it overnight and let me know the next day. I sent home a copy of the DARE essay as well as the oral presentation grade rubric that I filled out for each student in this past week's Friday folder, so you can see how they did on that. I'll be grading the writing portion of the DARE essay in the coming days. Another announcement upcoming would include our hat, scarf, and mitten drive. On Friday, we actually started organizing for this drive. The students made posters to hang in the hallway. Some of them made advertisements for the news in the morning, WTGR News. And some of the students made messages to actually be put into hats, scarves, and mittens. So basically what we're doing is we're asking for new or unused hats, scarves, and mittens to be donated to families in need to stay warm this winter. All of the items are actually going to be placed on the tree, which is in the main lobby of the school, and we're actually collecting them the whole way until December 20th. So if you have any that you're willing to donate, or if you know someone else who's willing to donate, we would love that. The students are really working hard in organizing this to see that it's as successful as it can be. One other announcement I have before I take you off to the strategies would include the fact that this week is actually the week when interims will be sent home. If you can believe it or not, on Friday, the students will be receiving a Barrett Academy interim and an academic interim. And just like last time, I'll actually send home 2 so you can keep a copy at home and then send back a copy signed in return for me, just so that I know that you received it and looked it over and talked it over with your Barrett Academy scholar. Now I'm going to send you off to the strategy session. As always, let me know how you enjoy the strategies. Are they helping? Are they hurting? Are they too much? Are they too little? Let me know, and I'll see you on the other end. Okay, Rockstar family, so one of the things I want to focus on this week in math would be to continue our computation of decimals, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing right at the end of the week, and we'll take that into next week. So on the screen right now, I have 6 different problems involving decimals written in a horizontal fashion, so they're more of a number sentence looking problem. What I really want your Rockstar to practice at home this week will be simply writing these vertically, lining up the places, and computing them to find the sum, the difference, the product, etc. So if I look at my first one, 3 45/100 plus 2 tenths plus 123, what I would do with this, and I'm just going to show you how I line it up. I'm not actually going to solve it. If Rockstars come in this week with these solved, they will receive 3 house points. So my first number, 3 45/100, I write right there. Now, for 2 tenths, I have to look where that decimal is, place the decimal, and then place my number. Okay, so as you can see, I'm not just lining my 2 up over here under the 5. And then I have 123, which is a whole number. It has no decimal in it, so it has to come the whole way over here. Now I can put in my decimal and put 2 zeros just to keep myself organized, as well as up here with the 2 tenths to make that 20 hundredths. Those are equivalent values anyway. And then now, as you can see, I can simply add from right to left as we learned in 2nd and 3rd grade when we were adding with regrouping. Now, as you'll see here, my decimals are also lined up vertically, which is really important. This is the most important step of computation of decimals, adding and subtracting. Okay, so those are there for practice. Use them as you like. And one other thing I want to show you this week, though, would include computation when multiplying decimals. And starting tomorrow, we're actually just going to be multiplying decimals by powers of 10. These decimals, we really don't have to do much computation for. In fact, none at all. And let me show you why. So essentially what we do when we multiply by a power of 10, which would include 1, 10, 100, 1000, any of the powers of 10, we simply just look how many zeros we multiplied by. So I multiplied, and there's 1 0 in that 10. And for multiplication of decimals, I move that decimal in 34 and 5/10, 1 to the right. For that one space, I multiply by 1 0, I move it 1 to the right. So my final answer is 345. So 34 and 5/100, or 5/10, I'm sorry, times 10 is 345. So when you're multiplying by powers of 10, you simply count up how many zeros you have and move those to the right of where the decimal was originally located. Okay, so you can test that out on 2.3 or 2 3/10 times 10. Go ahead and write that down, and then I'll show you what I have, and we can compare our work. So I have 2 3/10 times 10. Count up how many zeros. Let's see what you come up with. Okay, good. The final answer is simply my product is going to be 23 because I multiply by 1 0 in that 10 once again. I take that decimal point, move it 1 to the right to represent how many zeros, and my final answer would be 23. The decimal is there. Once again, you can go through that if you like, but you really just have to move it. So tomorrow we'll be looking at powers of 10, and we'll also be looking at why we can do that because of the base 10 system. And just to reiterate really quickly, if these problems are completed and brought in, they are worth 3 house points. Now I want to take you over to the web and actually show you a couple of really cool resources that you can use at home to help you practice with any decimal computation and really any math concept. All throughout the year I've been showing you a lot of Khan Academy videos. We watch them in class. Some of the students have remarked that they've been able to get a concept as soon as they've seen it. So it's a really helpful resource. If you simply go to khanacademy.org, you can go to the search bar and type in any math concept you're looking for, and we've actually been working on a few of these last week, but we didn't hit all of them. As you can see over here, we have adding decimals, we have subtracting decimals, and if you even scroll down further, there are decimal word problems involving addition, subtraction, and the next section even includes some multiplying decimals, which we'll be hitting this week. It's just a really great resource because the rock stars can stop when they're confused and replay if they need to, and it's just another great way to reinforce what we're learning in class. So, now moving on to reading this week, I'm going to take you back to the Word document and scroll down really quickly, and here you'll see what we call the classic Venn diagram. Okay, this week, for the next 3 weeks actually, we'll be practicing the reading comprehension skill of comparing and contrasting. And basically what that means is we're looking at how things are alike and how they're similar. So another way of saying this would be simply saying alike versus different. And we're going to be doing a ton of different things in class over the next 3 weeks to really help our comparing and contrasting, but you can do many things at home. Let me give you a couple examples. You could take an apple and an orange in the kitchen and simply talk about how it's alike, how it's different. You can pick up the newspaper and talk about an article from yesterday and an article from today and how they're alike and different. You could take the comic section and read the Garfield comic from yesterday, read the Garfield comic from today, and talk about how they are alike and different. There's so many different ways. So when we draw a Venn diagram, this, you could say, would be Garfield today, and this would be Garfield yesterday. And in the middle, this is how they're both different on the outside. And in the middle where the circles overlap, that's how they're alike. Okay, so this is a really great way that you can incorporate our reading comprehension skill into the home almost immediately. That's a really great thing to do to reinforce that reading comprehension. Okay, I'm going to take you back over to the web for some science. This week we're wrapping up our entire Earth movements, rocks, rock cycle, plate tectonics, weathering, erosion unit. We're going to have our tests. I know on the newsletter I said Wednesday, but after looking at the plans a little more, it's going to be on Thursday. Okay, so I am going to put a study video up online, probably tomorrow, that the rock stars will be able to use to help them to study for this assessment. But I also have a bunch of great resources under the class news section of our webpage. One of the best resources for this unit is actually BrainPop. And as you'll see here, I have our username and password that you can use at home to get on. And one of the most awesome areas you can go here, number one, you can come to a couple videos that really relate so well to the rock cycle. Okay, but an amazing thing that you can do is actually called Masterminds. It's a game on here, but the cool thing about it is that the students will actually be led through different mines throughout the United States. They mine the rocks and they bring them back into a lab and use all of the properties of rocks that we're going to be talking about in class this week to classify the rocks and identify them as sedimentary, metamorphic, or igneous. So it's just really, really cool. It's a great game. And like I said, here's an example of it. Basically, they're going to come in, hit play, they can choose a character, do all of the things that a regular game has. And it tells them exactly what they need to do. They can go to different areas of the world.
The minerals you've collected will be stored in your display case. Click on a mineral and take it around the lab to perform a series of tests. These tests will help you work with Dr. Mike Wise to identify your mineral and think of.
So what they actually do is they enter a mine, they mine some rocks that are in real parts of the United States, and then they bring them back to the mine and take them through all the tests. And the cool thing about this entire site is that it's using all of the science vocabulary that we're really focused on right now in class. Okay, so just a reminder, I did put the username and password for BrainPop right here, as you'll see under class news as well, so that students can access that at home, because it will probably prompt you for that username and password. But just really quick reminder, I will be putting a study video up later this week, maybe tonight if I get to it, or tomorrow, for the science assessment. And then come Friday, we'll start our first day of the 13 colonies social studies unit. So we'll switch back over to social studies and begin unit number 4 in our textbook. We have a ton of cool stuff to learn with the 13 colonies. Finally, in writing this week, we will actually be doing a little bit more on figurative language, and as you can see here under class news, I did include a couple areas where you can go to check out some figurative language poems and idioms, different things like that. The most important thing with figurative language is simply being able to identify it when a writer uses it in text. If a writer says it's raining cats and dogs outside, that's an idiom. They don't really mean that it's raining cats and dogs outside. They just mean that it's really the rain's coming down in huge pellets. Okay, and so we want to be able to identify that figurative language when we see another author use it. So a couple of these resources right here will be excellent areas to go if you would like further assistance with that. One final area I want to point you toward that the students have really come to love is DigitWiz. I know our class and Mr. Stallone's class is now using it, and the cool thing about it is the students are able to play multiplayer games in DigitWiz, kind of like their current video games, but they're doing all of these math concepts while they're playing multiplayer, which is amazing. And I just think the coolest thing about this entire site is the fact that it's catered to each individual student's current level. So they take the placement quiz, say in multiplication, and they are given facts and different things to do based upon their current level. And I'm able to go in and see their progress and things like that. One of the best areas to go if students are still struggling with their basic multiplication facts would be under Multiplication tab and the Facts Whiz, because they can cater the game to the facts that they're still needing work with. Maybe, say, the 8s are an area that we have to work on. So they can choose the 8s, they can choose multiplication or division, they can choose to play a multiplayer, and they can go. And the students, if the students are online at the same time, they can play with each other. Obviously, they can't communicate with each other, or, it's not like current video games, but it's still multiplayer. They're still playing in real time, and students have really come to enjoy it, we found in class. So that's just another area to go, and the link is available on our Kate Waller Barrett webpage. Now I'm going to send you back over to Mr. Reichard. I hope these strategies were great. I hope they were helpful. And I hope that you're able to use at least a few of them this week in your everyday routine in the home to further enhance what we're learning in the classroom. See you guys later. Okay, Rockstar family, so I hope you enjoyed all the strategies for tonight. As always, give me some feedback on them. Are they helping? Are they hurting? Too much? Too little? I hope that you have a wonderful week. I know that we have a very busy week in store. Stay warm, and we'll see you on the other end. You are the best families in Stafford County.